Hello, welcome to the Always Be Comedy podcast. Our guest today, the great Amy Matthews. Tim, this is talk about a natural orator. Now, look, there was a bit where in this episode, what we're trying to do is we're trying to do it as live, trying to make it as clean an edit as possible. Now that we're putting shows up on YouTube, we want it to feel like a continuous episode. There's one bit that I fudged, so Tim it did require an edit. It was my fault. But if it hadn't been for me tripping over this particular hurdle, Tim, Amy Matthews is such a natural. She's what you call a one-take wonder.
She's a one-take wonder. She's doing her own podcast and stuff. She can just talk and talk in the best way. She's got a lot to say in this episode. It's really, really fascinating. I think it's a great episode, I must say.
Channel 5 are making quite a lot of telly with comedians at the moment, like documentary type. You know, Dara's had a couple of shows away, hasn't he? Okay. Fantastic. You can imagine Amy Matthews. If Channel 5 announced that Amy Matthews was hosting some sort of history series with her presenting to camera, walking through a field where a battle took place, that sort of show, Tim, I wouldn't bat an eyelid.
I really like that a lot. She's currently hosting the English Heritage podcast, which is unbelievably classy. And yeah, I think she's really proved that, yeah, she can do some very highbrow things.
You said the other day, you can imagine you might have said it in the episode. Okay. Sometimes, Tim, I can't tell what was said in the episode and what we were saying to each other at the Tommy Field, but you said something like, you can imagine her at Hever Castle. Here I am, at Hever Castle, and on this very spot, you know, she's got it all. Tim, she spins a lot of plates and she spins them all supremely well.
Well, absolutely. So much so. The thing she's promoting is something absolutely fascinating. It's last year's Fringe show, but it's coming out on a vinyl record and it's become like a sort of ASMR storytelling experience with a soundscape and so on. It's a really interesting thing to do for Fringe show, and I think it's a brilliant idea.
It's a friend of ours, I think I can say, Romesh's new special. I was saying to him that the idea, his concepts for that, Can't Knock the Hustle, that's it. It's on Sky at the moment, isn't it? And what he's done is he's taken his special and he's made a documentary, like one of his BBC, those BBC travel shows that he did. It's that sort of show, but inspired by the stand-up. And I thought it was such an original idea that I imagine more comedians will start doing it. Tim, did you've heard about this as well, haven't you? I thought it was fantastic.
What Romesh's thing? Yeah, absolutely. Sounds great.
And Amy's done the same thing. To come up with an original concept is really difficult. But Amy's done it. I mean, Tim's described it beautifully, and Amy also describes it perfectly. Well, obviously it's her show. But
you can buy it from the Monkey Barrel website, and I really think it's a great thing to get on board with. They've released a few records before. I've got a John Kearns vinyl somewhere in my room, and they do a great job. I really think it's worth getting on board with.
Tim, original thought.
I love it.
Tim, me tonight at ABC emceeing with a pair of cymbals between my knees. Is this original, Tim? Get off.
I love it.
Now then, Tim, a very exciting newsletter went out. One went out this morning. I mean, I don't know if you saw what time I sent it. I was up early this morning.
Yeah.
If you want to join the newsletter, do drop us an email. If you've already emailed and we've not added you, that's on me. It was nothing personal. It was, maybe I was on the school run or something like that. But we are the team at alwaysbecomedy.com. We will hopefully see you at a show soon. Tomorrow night, there's a Josh Pugh work in progress on Wednesday, the 8th of October. Jen Brister, that's almost sold out. Sunday, the 12th of October, work in progress. Wozniak, back-to-back previews, 14th and 15th of October. They are almost already both sold out. Red Richardson, work in progress, Monday the 20th of October. And then we've just added a Bridget Christie, £5 work in progress. Sunday the 21st of October. Why is it a £5 Bridget? It's because there's a bit of an overhaul between us. But it's not, let's keep it on the down low. Tim, I'm right there, right? Bridget wouldn't want the world knowing that she's giving a show a bit of a major tweak.
I think that's absolutely fair enough. She wants to adapt it to the state of the world right now, and in order to do that, she's going to have to rewrite quite a lot of it.
Yeah, Bridget cares so much, and she did it a few years ago with the show when Brexit happened.
Mm.
She was so inspired by that and so passionate about it. Hang on, not when I say inspired by it, I don't mean, gosh, she was delighted that it happened. What I mean as a reaction to it, in the way that Neil Young did that amazing war album after the Iraq War. He felt compelled. Same sort of thing. And because of the state of the world right now, Bridget feels the same, that same fire. And so the overhaul will be Tuesday the 21st of October, just a £5 to see the great Bridget Christie. Incredible. For this and more, please visit alwaysbecomedy.com/tickets. We've also got a new blog that's up and running. We did one the other day about audience etiquette, and boy, oh boy, you really got on board. I mean, you're not the target market. You already know the score, but hopefully you read it and nodded along. That's also at alwaysbecomedy.com. And then also, we've just launched a new Chelsea night that starts 23rd of October. You can see that on the website, alwaysbecomedy.com/Chelsea. In the meantime, here is the maestro, Amy Matthews. Amy Matthews, huge and heartfelt thanks for joining us on the Always Be Comedy podcast. Now, please, can you explain to the listener, because we are not sure that we've heard of anything like this, can you explain the vinyl?
Good question. Can I explain the vinyl? Because it's so difficult. Its USP is the best thing about it and the worst thing about it. There's no
worst. There's no worst.
Well, it's because it's it's an iteration of my last tour show. So, Commute with the Foxes was my 2024 Fringe show that then went on tour, and it was a joy to do. I loved touring it. It was such a fun show, and the conceit of the show was that it was set on a train, so it had a soundscape under it, the live show, so that it felt like you were on a train. And it sort of ended up being about how we use sound as distraction. I wonder if the podcast listener can sort of empathize with that. And I the more I was exploring it, the more I realized that there were all these different ways that I could use sound in the live shows. And when it came to, a show's end of its touring life or the end of its live life, essentially, I was like, what do I want to do with it? Do I want to release it as a YouTube special? Do I want to try and sell it to a, channel or streaming or whatever? And I thought, seeing as it's all about sound, let's do it as an audio format, and have it become the thing that it's about. Like, I wanted it to be some kind of audio piece, and then I was like, if I'm doing that, I really want to do that. So I rewrote the show to be an audio show, but really lent into all of the sound design stuff. So it is a show set on a train, i.e. when you listen to it, you can hear the train around you, but then there's also there's sort of tangents and stuff that the show goes on, that are supposed to emulate the way your mind wanders when you're looking out of the window of a train. And so there's a bit, for example, where I talk about going to a medieval tavern and you can hear the medieval tavern around you. There's a bit where I talk about turtles being born and you can hear them hatching. And so I was like, I wanted to really, really lean into this idea that sound and stand-up itself can look like lots of different things. It's somewhere between a stand-up show, a sort of a radio show, ASMR, storytelling, an immersive soundscape experience. It's sort of all and none of these things. So the idea being that you can listen to it and be transported to lots of different places across the course of the hour. So it was actually recorded in a booth without an audience as an immersive sound experience.
So you'd love someone to pop on a big pair, genuinely, big pair of headphones, drop the needle, drop the needle on the vinyl, sit back, lay back,
Do you
and
know what?
just
This is
luxuriate in this.
Absolutely. And this is, do you know what? This is another thing as well that I think I wanted people to be able to experience it in different ways. So you can pop it on a vinyl record player and have it on in the background whilst you're doing whatever else. You could also, as you say, sit with headphones on and listen to it like that. You could, there's an extended version that isn't, obviously, a vinyl only comes with so much physical space on it. So the show in its entirety is longer than there was space on the record. So there's the vinyl version, and then there's an extended MP3 version that comes free as a download if you buy the vinyl itself. If you're someone like me, even if you don't have a vinyl, I love having like a physical thing. So, there's a world in which you can buy the vinyl and then you have like the extended MP3 to listen to on your commute to work. Or if you just want to buy the MP3, you can have that and it's the extended version. And yeah, so you can either listen to it as an immersive experience, or you can have it on in the background as a sort of a one-off podcast episode. People can listen to it and engage with it however they like, and that's part of the joy of it. And there are, seeing as I mean, the listenership to this wonderful podcast, I feel like will be interested in that they've earned the right to this secret. So there's 3 secret tracks on the end of the MP3 version where I talk in the show about I've got something called spatial sequence synesthesia, where I have like intrinsic visuals that are tied to abstract concepts. So like one of the ways that manifests is I don't have typical set lists. They have like shapes. So like each bit of material has like a geometric shape that is associated with it in my head. So I can physically draw my show. And I gave the drawing that, to the naked eye just looks like various brackets and stars and rectangles. I gave the map of the show to 3 sound artists and said, could you interpret this? And I will put your compositions at the end of the recording. So right at the end, after you think the show is finished, there's 3 secret tracks from 3 different sound artists who have interpreted the map of the show. So I just wanted to really like push the idea of what we can do with a comedy show. I wanted it to be something different, and yeah, it's been its blessing and its curse that there's nothing like it, but also there's nothing like it. So it's it's a sort of comedy sound piece, really.
At a time where original thought it's easier said than done, right? And I think a lot of comedians, a lot of creative people, they love the idea, right? The importance of original thought, but as I say, putting it into practice is chuffing hard because so many things are derivative of something else. You must be, I sound parental saying this, I hope you're suitably proud that you have come up with, like we say, nothing we've ever seen or heard before. I mean, it's extraordinary.
That's so kind of you to say. And I mean, I think as well, it's on the originality note, I think I had a lecturer at uni tell me that, one of the most, restrictive things you can do is try and be original because it's impossible. It's easier to think about instead of I think the way he put it was think about putting your own decoration on a pre-existing tree. Like that's the best thing you can do. Like you can there's no such thing as something completely original. You can only sort of make an amalgam or version of what's yours. And I think because of how things are now, there's no monoculture anymore, and there's no traditional roots into, say, for example, TV or touring and stuff. Everyone is carving out their own space. And I think it's the most inhibitive thing to look at either side of you and go, what is everyone else doing? I think we're at a point now in comedy where people have to go, do you know what? What's my thing? And let's make it. Because if it's something I would like to consume,
yeah,
there's going to be someone else who feels the same way. So I think it's more about sort of, I've tried to in the last sort of year or so, just go, do you know what? What is it I actually want to make? Let's strip everything back And as opposed to sort of going, oh, I should probably do this arbitrary milestone, I should probably do this thing, just going, do you know what, actually, what do I want to do, and what's the kind of thing I'd want to consume, and make it myself. I think that's we're seeing more and more of this kind of people finding their own audiences and having a slightly more punk grassroots, certainly, like, that's worked for lots of social media people who are very social media focused. And yeah, just us all sort of trying to carve out our own lane, essentially.
Have you? I'm asking this question as someone who's just finished the audiobook. Have you listened to Rick Rubin, The Creative Way?
No, I haven't.
Oh, mate, you're gonna Jesus.
Oh, let me write it down. Rick Rubin.
Yeah, the create. It's almost meditational how he narrates it, and there's even the occasional gong. In fact, it's really good. But what you're saying about the hanging your what was it? Hanging your decoration on the
Hang your
pre-existing tree.
decoration on a pre-existing tree. Yeah.
So in that, even he says the Beatles were inspired by, and then names a couple of bands from like the 1950s,
Yeah.
and they're obviously like no one's more original than the Beatles, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, utterly fascinating. Now, how hard was that decision? Because yeah, I appreciate it's part of the originality, but to forego the audience, and this is a show, it toured, huge hit in Edinburgh, on and on and on, and so to chop that limb off, if you like, please talk us through that, because that's a big old step, dude.
Definitely. And like, we're needy stand-up comics. We need the constant reassurance of laughter. We need someone saying, yep, that bit worked, that bit didn't. And I think certainly, as I say, it had a year's life in a live format, in that, I think in fact it was bang on a year, because I did my first ever work in progress of it at McShane. And then obviously you work it up until August. I did the run of it in August, and then I toured it through the autumn and spring, and it had its last live performance a year to the day at McShane Comedy Festival. So it lived for a year in a live format, and in that year I knew where the laughs were. I knew what bits worked where, so I had enough faith and enough data to know that it worked in the way that I wanted to. So when it came to stripping it back and making it, essentially I had to work it into an audio transcript. I did that first. I either adapted or removed any visual jokes, obviously, and then sort of looked at what, like, there's nothing more freeing than constraints. That sounds like an odd thing to say, but like, there's if you're suddenly told you can't have any visuals, you have to find new ways to make something work. So it was like a puzzle. I sort of sat down with the transcript and then went, right, okay, so what bits do I have to take out or adapt? But also, what bits can I now add in?
Yeah.
There were all of these ways that I could go, oh, do you know what, that actually there's something that I could do with that, where I can make that transportative, or I can make that an audio sort of tangent, or I can add some sound design in with that. And I sat down with a sound designer, a producer at Monkey Barrel Records, Ewan Napier, and said, look, these are the ideas I've had, let's collaborate together. And that's another thing that's really nice as well. I mean, stand-up is so lonely creatively. You write it on your own, you perform it on your own, you travel to it on your own. There's something to be said for sitting down with somebody who has a different specialism and a different skill set and going, let's work on this together. And that's exactly what we did. We sat down and I said, look, I've got an idea about maybe when I talk about somebody letter writing, I want to be able to hear them doing it. And then he was like, amazing, and how about this, and how about this? So we worked together on that. So I think it was, as much as it was scary to remove an audience, it was also quite freeing to go, do you know what, this is now a different thing. It's a version, it's an iteration of a show. It's had its live life, and now it's being repackaged and reformatted into something else. So yeah, we did a few days in the studio. We did a sort of bulk, we did the meat of it, and then we did so many listen throughs and sort of shuffled different bits around and hammered the sound design in different ways. So yeah, it was a process. It was a process.
Are you now I ask this question as an ASMR person myself.
Me too, yeah.
I'm like Pavlov's dog every night. Yeah, I was gonna. Well, you've answered it already. Do I take it you're a fan? If so, just to get to
Yeah.
sleep or other ways as well?
A mix of things actually. Sometimes I listen to it, funny enough, on trains sometimes if I need something to block out chewing
Yeah.
or something like that. But yeah, I really love I think there's a misconception around ASMR as well, in that I know lots of people sort of think it's like a weirdly sexual thing, but it's ASMR, or it's autosensory meridian response, even though
Oh wow, well done,
yeah,
well
even
done.
though
I can never remember what it stands for.
yeah, because even though it is obviously ASMR is now the genre, ASMR originally it's autosensory meridian response is the term for the sensation people get watching it. So the way I describe it, not everybody gets it, so it's a bit alien if you don't. But that maybe if you've ever had like your back tickled or your arm tickled, that sort of hair standing up on the back of your neck feeling is stimulated in some people by audio visual
Yeah.
stimuli. So
Mm.
that is ASMR, and then that term has given birth to the genre and the obviously the practice of doing it yourself. But and obviously there are people who enjoy ASMR videos who don't actually get the sensation of ASMR, but just enjoy the relaxation of it. But yeah, so I've listened to ASMR for years and really, really love it. Again, very much it started as something to get me to sleep. And then I sort of use it in different ways now, as either as relaxation or yeah, as kind of white noise. And yeah, so I love ASMR. And I think I can tease this now. I'm doing a collaboration with an ASM artist that I won't be able to say too much about until it happens. But I'm really excited about the fact there's an ASM artist that I have listened to for years and years and years. And we're going to collaborate on a video this coming year. Again, just sort of trying to find ways to be interdisciplinary and find new spaces for comedy and performance to exist. So we're going to be, I know Jack Barry did a show that was
Yeah.
completely ASMR. But I think, yeah, I'm trying to lean more and more into spaces that aren't predictably for stand up, because I think that's where I find the most interest in things that I like consuming. So yeah, I think there'll be more ASMR to come.
What nationality is the ASM artist?
She's English. She's English.
Is it the
Yeah.
ASMR psychologist?
No, it's not. It's
He's
not.
my
But I
favourite.
know of. It's it really. Who else? Who are some of your other favorite ASMR
Jojo.
artists?
I know Jojo. I know his massive.
Jojo.
It's so good.
It's so good.
Also, he must have made so much money. Have
I
you heard him
know.
talking about this studio that he's built? And you're like, Jesus Christ.
It's bananas. It's absolutely
I think
bananas.
there's a video of him jumping onto newer or lesser well-known ASMR channels,
Yeah.
and it's him dropping. I think I'm right here, like massive donations to help them and stuff.
What an absolute
I love the
angel.
dude. I think he's an angel, and he's
Yeah.
always championing other people as well.
Yeah. For sure.
Um,
That's
yeah.
so lovely.
How about yourself?
I mean, my entry into ASMR, I believe, was Gentle Whispering, Maria.
Yeah,
And then through Maria, I think
GB's
I
very good.
absolutely, again,
She
a classic, a
she must
titan.
be. She's number one in the world, surely.
I think so, because she's got millions and millions of subscribers.
And also, the dudes we're naming here, these are legit ASM artists, right?
Absolutely, that's
And
their whole
my
thing.
I genuinely sympathise with these people because then what you get are as you I mean you've alluded to it already,
Yeah.
the people trying to flog the OnlyFans.
Yeah,
So,
and it's
so
a different thing. But
it's a
do you
different
know
thing. So if you do a lot of ASMR, your algorithm will be populated by ASM artists, right? And I could go on my phone now and I'll read out 10 different ones, and if you're into it, you may be familiar with each one I'm reading out. And then the algorithm, what will happen is it's a girl in a bikini doing ASMR, and you're like,
yeah, come on.
come on,
I know.
guys.
But do you know what? It's interesting. I remember hearing Maria Gentle Whispering talk on this. And she said the thing is every space, every art space, every profession, every world, there is always going to be a space that is then that it's going to be sexualized in some way. So it doesn't matter what, whether it's a sport, whether it's whatever it is, there's going to be a thread that ends up like being that kind of thing. So like this is just another space where that's happened. Yeah, I think there are so many ASMR. There's loads of the classics, there's loads of the titans. Another one that I really, really love as well is Goodnight Moon. And again, she really she does
The word.
world building.
Oh my God. Well, when you say tavern, because she's done those that
Yeah,
set in that, I mean, absolutely extraordinary. Guys,
yeah,
if you're listening thinking, what are you talking about? But she's done one that's set in like this medieval tavern.
yeah,
It's set as if you've just walked in like some sort of weary traveller,
yeah.
and it's her sitting you down and chatting with you. Dude, with those, within 5 minutes, I'm
It's so
good night, Vienna.
immersive, and it's
Yeah.
yeah, it's storytelling. It's there's the production that goes into it. It's like a
Oh my
film.
gosh.
There's characters, there's lore, like LORE around it, and yeah, I think there's just I really love it when people take something pre-existing and just run with it in a way that is aligned with them and their vision. And yeah, it's just she has really pushed the boundaries of what it is to do an ASMR video. And I love people carving out their space in those spaces, like and yeah, she's incredible for that.
I don't mind admitting this. I've privately thought, because
Yeah.
I've listened to, like yourself, I've listened to so much of it down the years, that in a parallel universe, I'd set up my own ASM, and it's things like you're feeling sleepy, all that malarkey. But
Yeah.
then I just think the flack that I would, if I was me and I discovered a mate was doing this, the
Yeah.
flack I would give them. So
It's so
another dream
interesting though,
bites the
isn't it?
dust.
But also I think, isn't it mad that for every one person who thinks that, there's probably six that would
I
love that.
know.
But it's like all of us, having started comedy probably would have undergone the same thought process. Like for so many people put off starting stand up because they're worried, not really even because they're nervous about doing the gig, but because they're worried about telling people.
If Rick Rubin could hear me say that, given I've just finished that book, he'd be like, "Dude, did you not listen to chapter 5 or whatever?" Yeah, and you're right as well. The creativity that's gone into some of these videos. I mean, it's
Yeah.
the production values are insane, aren't they?
Absolutely. And it's world building.
Oh,
It's amazing.
what I think on the one thing I do not get. I know we've talked too much about ASMR here. I apologise, but
Never.
fast and aggressive. They're literally called
Yeah.
fast and aggressive ASMR.
Yeah.
And I just think, who is, and it'll be called fast and aggressive ASMR to get to sleep.
Yeah.
And listener, I'm not exaggerating, it is literally, okay, good evening, welcome to
Yeah, it
my
is.
channel. You are feeling sleepy. And I'm like,
I
I'm
can't.
going to have a nervous breakdown.
Yeah. Yeah.
The
It's a
least
lot.
relaxing. Oh my, it's
But
all, I think it's hot. I
but
think
you
it's
know
awful.
what? It's like anything. There are like genres that that appeal to different people's tastes. So like, and I know people as well who get ASMR but can't get it from voices. So they have to have, it has to be scratching or like the sounds of like fabric, or like they can't have any human. The second there's any human voice, either their misophonia is triggered or they don't like it. And then vice versa. There are some people who are like, I don't get anything from hearing tapping. I need
I need the
vocals.
voice. I need
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's like I mean I always just to I guess to sort of bring it back to comedy for a second, I say the same thing to people
Please
who
do. That was all on me. That was all
no,
on me. That really was.
I always say this to people when they're like, oh, I don't know if or that person isn't funny. I say like the issue is there are genres in comedy, but we don't like it's not in common consciousness what they are. So like if you're a folk music fan and you go and watch Iron Maiden, you don't walk away saying they can't play the guitar. You walk away
Total
saying that's
agreement.
just not for me. And there are the same, there are the same genres in comedy. We just don't have really the cultural literacy to divvy them up, or at least it's slightly more blurred or blended. So yeah, if you're a massive alt comedy fan and you go and watch somebody do really really you know
Brilliant broad stand up.
Exactly. You might,
Yeah.
oh God, they're hack, they're rubbish. They're not, it's a
Yeah.
different genre. They're still playing the guitar, so to speak. It's just, yeah, it's just a different thing.
I
And
mean,
yeah, I think there's so many of these like invisible genres in these different disciplines.
it's one way you build up a following. Tim and I were having this chat on Friday night. A certain act, half the room crying with laughter. They found their
Yeah.
brand, if you like, and the other half are like,
Yeah.
sorry, somebody blowing a dog whistle here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
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 fascinating,
how you
isn't
can
it?
build up an audience, isn't it?
For sure.
Now, look, I know there are many strings, as we've discovered this past 30 minutes, many strings to the Amy Matthews bow. Please talk us through the English Heritage podcast, because I mean that's just what
Yeah.
a great thing.
Oh, it's an absolute dream job because I mean, I could listen to people speak about things they're passionate about for forever. Like whether I know anything about them or not, I think there's something so yeah, there's something so stimulating about hearing somebody deep dive into something really specific. And yeah, this job like landed in my inbox. And I remember saying to my agent, I was like, I actually can't admit how much I want this because I'll be so sad if I don't get it.
Good for you. Good for
I was
you.
like, it was just so every now and then something comes in and you're like, I
This
I
couldn't be in my
this I
wheelhouse.
would just I would love this more than anything in the world, and I'm eternally grateful that it came off because yeah, I essentially every week get to speak to two or three academics slash volunteers slash researchers about a really specific thing that is, I mean, it's yeah, it's the English Heritage podcast, so we start with an object or site in English Heritage's care, but it's not like an hour's advert for English Heritage. It's a history podcast. So we literally we've spoken about obviously I suppose Stonehenge is their poster child. We did that this week actually. So we've spoken about Stonehenge, the history of stone circles. We've looked at stained glass windows and how they influenced jewelry. We've looked at wallpaper and the link to 18th century wallpaper and how that relates to tattoos in the 90s. Like these conversations are so the links that we find across time and history and how they're sort of relevant today are so fun. Like we start with something so specific and what's the there's a James Joyce quote, within the particular is contained the universal. I think we start with something so specific that we can't help but touch on something that is relatable to everybody.
Oh, you're gonna love the creative way. You're gonna
Am
love that. Oh my Amy.
There we go. There we go.
Like, you're such a natural orator, which obviously why you do stand up. Obviously, this podcast has this led to more. I promise Claire hasn't made me ask this question.
Yeah.
Has this Claire is
My agent, yeah.
Has this led to more presenting stuff?
Bits and bobs. So it's certainly within English Heritage as well. I think we're trying to sort of find new ways to bring a lot of these things to life, because I think again history's got a really bad reputation for being dusty and inaccessible, and it doesn't have to be. Like I did an amazing day filming at Kenwood House on Hampstead Heath, and we looked at the John Singer Sargent exhibition that was there. So we're doing like more front facing presenting stuff, which has been so lovely. And it's do you know what I'm realizing as well how much I really love facilitating, whether that's facilitating conversation or, and again I think we'll get onto this in a moment, but I've started running a poetry night with comedian Ben Pope, and
it's with Ben Pope.
Yeah, well, in collaboration with, so as you know,
Tim,
Ben,
I mean, this is like the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Oh, big
really
time. Big time.
Oh, that's very sweet. So yeah, we basically I came to him with the idea that I wanted to do comedians do poems night. So like we obviously quite rightly, in order to do our jobs, have to be funny, obviously, but also they're like comedians' brains are interesting and far-reaching, and I'm always fascinated to see what other creative projects they're working on, and there's not a huge there's not I couldn't find a space for people to share the work that they were doing that was maybe more literary or poetry skewing. Without the pressure to have to undercut it with a punchline all the time. So I was like, I want to do a poetry night for comics where the USP is that it's all comedians doing it, but they are permitted a space where they can be sincere. I mean, people talk about what are the last taboos in comedy, or what can't you actually talk about, what can't you joke about. The last taboo in comedy is sincerity. Like you cut the you know, like the only thing really that people like struggle with, or find embarrassing, or distasteful is sincerity, certainly in British comedy, I should say. So I was like, I want to put on like I'll be presenting that. I will, you know, it feels only fair that I should also share some vulnerable poetry as well myself, so I will be doing that, but it's chiefly a space where comedians who are doing more poetic or literary stuff can hash out their ideas without the pressure of having to make it funny. And there's an appetite for it. It's sold out, which is really exciting, because I think again audiences want the vulnerability of comics, sometimes without necessarily undercutting it. You know, yeah, I think there's a reason why the sort of 45-minute mark fringe shows do so well, because people want a little bit of the humanity without the kind of having to make a joke at the end of it sometimes. So yeah, I approached Ben and said, how would you feel about you know, putting this on at Review at the bookshop that he runs? And he was like, yeah, that sounds like a great thing. So it's sort of in conjunction with Review Bookshop in Peckham, and we're going to do it quarterly. So this is the autumn edition, which is sold out. That will be in the rearview mirror by the time this airs, I think. But we'll do a winter one, and then obviously a spring and summer, and also I'm going to look at doing some specials as well. So for certain things throughout the year. So it felt like a sustainable thing to do a seasonal one.
So who's on the first one, even if it's in the rearview mirror?
The first lineup is we've got myself, Ben Pope, Kavita, who's an incredible spoken word artist and does like comedy bits as well. Rob Orton. We've got Lewis Garnham, an incredible Australian comic who's just moved over here. We've got Jessie Nixon, an amazing comic. Obviously, she does poetry as well. Is that everybody on the line? I'm going to kick myself and feel really bad if I've missed somebody. But yeah, it's really strong. It's a really, really strong initial lineup.
Have you approached Nick Helm?
No, I'll tell you what, I'll pop him on the list. Genuinely, when I announced the night, I couldn't believe how many comedians got in touch and said, if you do another one, I'd love to throw my hat in the ring for it, because there's an appetite for it both sides of the stage. I think audiences want to see this and comedians want to do this, which is such a lovely thing. So yeah, I will absolutely. Do you know what? I'm gonna do that now. I'm gonna add Nick to the list.
Do you know who else? Do you know who else does poetry?
Talk to me.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Tim, who am I thinking of? I bet Tim will get this, I reckon.
No, I don't know. Obviously, Tim Key is sort of like the king of it, but
of course.
This might surprise some people. Some listeners will be, I think, shouting this person's name out, but it may surprise you. You ready?
Go on.
Rhys James.
Oh yeah, Rhys's old shows especially used to have poems all the time. Yeah.
That is good to know. Okay, fabulous. Right, I've got Rhys, I've got Nick, and lots of other people in my notes app that will be revealed on the next lineup, I'm sure. But yeah, it's so. Yeah, I'm so excited to build this, because I think it's got legs.
Finally, before we get to the format stuff, please talk us through the special on ITVX.
Yeah, so this was my last, the show before Commute with the Foxes, which was I Feel Like I'm Made of Spiders. It was my second hour, it toured, and I had such an amazing time doing that show. Like it was the most personal stand-up I'd ever done, and I absolutely loved writing and performing that show. Like I just absolutely loved it. It connected with people in a way that I found really surprising and beautiful. And yeah, it was because it was about quite a tricky time, and then to spin a piece of work out of it that ended up bringing so many people like so much joy was really special. So I recorded it at Pleasance. And it's now, yeah, on, you can watch it on ITVX. And yeah, I'm so pleased that it's had uh, a life after its touring years, because yeah, it's a show that means a lot to me. It was my baby.
Now I know we can't say anything. We can't say too much just yet, but that does take us nicely into possible announcement start of 2026.
Absolutely. So I had a year off of doing the Fringe this year. I had done 3 hours on the bounce, and I was like, do you know what? I want a year to give oxygen to some other projects that, you know, I owed those things my time and attention. And the second that you decide to do the Fringe, from, to be frank, November, that is your priority. You know, it's such a commitment, that I wanted a year where I wasn't having to commit to doing that. And I don't like half-assing anything, so I decided, I was like, right, I'm gonna take a year off of doing the Fringe. However, I am absolutely categorically doing the Fringe in 2026, and that will inevitably work up a show that, yes, may or may not be going on the road. So yeah, I'm very excited to be. Do you know what? As well, it's been so lovely to take a year of not having the pressure of August looming in the calendar. It just frees up your brain, and it has injected so much excitement back into the writing process. I think when you've got August as a deadline, it can feel a little bit like having a gun to your head. And just having, like, even down to, there were a few work in progresses that I put in the diary just before August this year. And in my head, I was like, they're not even work in progresses. They are an hour of new material. And just freeing up one's headspace to think of it in those terms, I've just fallen back in love with writing. Like it's unblocked something. Like there's so much more coming out. I'm so excited for the next show, and it's gonna be all the better for it. Like it's gonna come about so much more authentically and organically. And the work in progresses that I've done so far, I think I've only done 4, have been so fun. And I'm so excited for the next year. I'm really, really looking forward to
Good
it.
for you, Sarah. But what I think on Sarah Callahan is another
Great shout. She is, yes.
comedian, poet, person. I mean,
Perfect.
getting Rob Orton for the first one. I mean,
I
Jesus. I
Yeah,
mean,
know.
so
I
good.
feel so
when
lucky.
you said his
And
name, Tim, I think you were the same when she said Rob
Yeah,
Orton. I was like, oh yeah, yeah, of course.
yeah,
yeah,
of
absolutely.
course. And it's, yeah, I think it's so lovely that we've got obviously, he's an absolute titan of the stand-up slash poetry slash interdisciplinary genre. And yeah, I think I think there are more people as well wanting to straddle genres, and they're not necessarily being spaces for it. So I think, yeah, the classic case of, if you can't find what you need, do it, make it yourself, make that space yourself. You know, you guys have done that as well. I feel like with the podcast and with Always Be, you've created like a night and a space for the kind of comedy that you want to watch. Do you know,
Yeah,
like, and
exactly.
I
It,
think,
yeah,
and or the kind of comedy club that you would want to go to yourselves.
yeah.
And that's what you've got. I think if there's something that you're craving or seeking, if it doesn't exist, make it on your own, you know, because
100%. Yeah, yeah, total. I mean, that thing about, yeah, you've put it perfectly.
yeah.
Amy, you're curating your dream comedy gig. Do you have any pre-gig rituals?
Do you know what? I don't have any rituals per se. However, I will say I tend to have a favorite toilet in every venue. So like there's in places that I play regularly, there's always one toilet cubicle that, even if another one is free, I'll wait to use. Is that absolutely insane?
I can relate. I that's the sort of energy I can get behind, to be honest with you. I mean, that one is available, but I tell you what, it's not number three.
It's not my cue. Yeah, and there is that irrational bit of my clown brain that goes, yeah, but if you use the other toilet, you'll have a bad gig. So
I'm like that with. I've said before. I have that with socks.
oh, interesting. Okay, so you've got specific socks that you won't wear.
It's superhero socks, and it's the attributes of certain superheroes.
I love
So
it.
we had a gig last week. I wasn't feeling 100%, so I went for Spider-Man, keep it light, but then also Hulk, get me through. I mean,
Love that. So you feel like your socks are your sort of they set the tone for the energy that you're bringing.
literally that. And I
Yeah,
told it to Jo Caulfield. Her exact words were certifiable, and you know what? She's
certifiable.
correct.
Yes,
Who would? I think that. By the way, the cubicle thing.
you
You are
get
singing to the choir. I know you said you're weeing to the choir. I'm glad I didn't.
it. I
Who
think
would MC?
that's in the soundscape, I think.
Yeah, I really, really deeply regret. I would like to. I'd apologise to myself and I'll listen back to this. Who? Oh yeah, I'll listen back. Who would MC the gig?
Who would MC the gig? I would like Jordan Brooks to MC the gig, chiefly because there was a moment that I saw in one of his shows years ago. I think it was do you know, I think it was the year he won the award actually. Or the first year he won the award, should I say. And I remember he went into the crowd and in his usual, I think he was wearing his shirt, his shorts, and no shoes. And he wandered into the crowd and went up to a woman in the crowd and went, so, how are you doing? You all right? And she went, yep. And I was like, oh, he's about to do crowd. He's about to do something. He's about to either tell a joke or riff off that. And then he let it hang in the air for a moment. And then I need to get the intonation of this absolutely right. He looked at her and went, okay, well, have a good night. And then drifted away. And I can't explain to you how it shouldn't have been as hysterically funny as it was. Everyone was waiting for him to start some crowd work. And he literally just like a sort of like just I can't explain how perfect it was. And it just undercut every expectation that everyone, it was so naturally and brilliantly and stupidly funny. So if he could do that to everyone, so like I would like him to be a sort of anti-compare, that would be great.
We love Brooksy, Tim.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, one of the best, one of the absolute best. Yeah, of course.
Agreed.
We say this not as a criticism. This is a compliment. It's not going to sound like a compliment. His material is so much more broad than people realise.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And more accessible than people realise.
Yeah.
It's very broad. It's very broad comedy, and I say that as a huge fan of broad comedy, fan of all comedy. But it's broad comedy masquerading as
something weird.
Alt comedy, isn't it?
Absolutely correct. Yeah. And you know what? I feel like there are so many alt acts that are like that.
Yeah.
Where actually it is observational. Well, I mean, all comedy is observational, but observational comedy packaged in weird wrapping paper. Like, and I think people see the wrapping paper and go, oh, this is odd or highbrow. It so often just like the most accessible, unifying stuff. Do you know what I mean? And again, we've spoken briefly about the lack of cultural literacy around genres in comedy, and I think alt acts are so often the victim of that lack of literacy around genres. Because there's so many acts that are doing really accessible, as you say, like everyday stuff, like connecting with really everyday moments, and are just putting it in a weird outfit, so to speak.
I can't ruin the bit, but like Jordan's bit from his previous show about the one-man play. If Morecambe and Wise saw that, they'd be like, "What? That would fit. That would fit in with them." You know, it's so silly.
Absolutely.
in the best way possible.
And you get the inverse as well, in that someone like, say, for example, Alistair Beckett King, who has such a he speaks so well and so clearly and is ostensibly straight stand up, can go on stage at the Birmingham Glee on a Friday night and do jokes about William Blake.
Yeah, sure.
And that's the opposite. That is somebody presenting it in a format that's very accessible, but doing material that's like unusual. And then you've got the inverse of people performing weirdly, but making observations about the everyday. So there are definitely these like slippery, genres for sure.
Who would open the gig?
I would really like Elf Lions to open. Because I think, again, she does some of there are very few comics where every time I see them there's like a joke or a gag or an observation that I look at and go, oh bloody hell, I wish I'd done that. Like there are certain comics that you watch and go, oh, I wish I'd written that bit, or I wish I'd done that. I would say I get that more with Elf than any other. And she has, speaking of packaging things interestingly and imaginatively, I work a lot with Elf. She directed my last two shows. I just feel like she is so accessibly bonkers. She has one of the most brilliant minds, and some of the most inventive ways of packaging ideas. I could watch her spin magic in the way that she does for hours. There's I would love. I think as well, she does such an incredible job of things that have a place in an hour's show. She is so clever at splicing bits that ordinarily I think would need context and world building and plopping them into a 20-minute bit in a way that I find genius. Namely, for example, she did this is not great for an audio format, but she did a mime bit about a spider. I've seen her do that at a weekend comedy club. And the fact that she can splice that from a really, really nuanced, intricate, mime-based show and do that on a club night is magic. I think she's extraordinary.
Please, could you share? I know you've got to be careful burning gear. Which bits that might be repeatable without upsetting Elf? Has there been a bit where what such bits where you've gone, son of a,
Okay, I've got the perfect answer for this. So she did a really again throwaway line about how she was like, she loves her cellulite because it means that she can lay out in the rain, and where rain collects in the dimples of her cellulite, she can lay as animals feed from her, and she feels like Mother Nature. And again, it's like that is such. And again, I've just to caveat, I've butchered that, but the concept, the concept of like that is so her. Of like one, it's a beautiful image. Two, it's surreal and weird, but in a way that isn't isolating for people. Like everyone can imagine that as a concept.
You know what she's all about.
It's really like the image is so absurd, it's funny, but it's also really beautiful. Like and genuinely, I think about that now when I see like my cellulite. I think about that gag.
Sure.
And it's lovely. It's lovely. Like, and I remember hearing that, and she said it in the most like throwaway way and being like, oh God, that's just annoyingly brilliant and gorgeous and funny. And the visuals on that are beautiful.
Who do you have in the middle?
In the middle. Do you know what? I would like to bring Robbie McShane back into. So did you ever work with Robbie?
No.
So Robbie is one of these very irritating people who is so good, but also quite, I think, mentally well, so didn't pursue comedy. He had a very good job and a very good. He was one of these people who didn't need to do it, which is maddening because he, again, I think he had a way of being very surreal and very upset. And so, again, we've used original in quite a charged way in this episode, but so original, like really, like I'd watch him and go, my God, I've never heard anyone sort of do material about that or material about that in that way. And he was just so lyrical. And he was sort of, if you chucked Dylan Moran, Ben Pope, and Jack D in a blender, you juice them and Robbie McShane would come out. And he was so brilliant, and he lived in Scotland for a while, so we knew him a lot on the Scottish scene. He lives in London now, but I'd wheel him out for one last hurrah, I think, because I don't think he's still gigging.
So what does he do now then?
I think he's just in a very, very good consulting job.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Good for him.
Good for him. He's happy and stable. But yeah, he's got some material that I still think about. Yeah.
It's like that, the Jerry Seinfeld. It's a long bit. I won't do it. The Jerry Seinfeld bit on the documentary Comedian about the band traveling through the ice.
Yeah.
It's like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Who closes this behemoth? By the way, can I just say thank you for the thought that went into that middle, because I love the fact that you pick someone that doesn't do it anymore. Because those people, I think Timo, you're the same. Was it Widders? Widders picked people who didn't do it anymore.
Yeah, absolutely.
Those people do fascinate me,
Yeah, for sure. And do you know what? My answer to who's closing it is I've cheated a little bit in that the short answer is Spencer Jones's 50-minute disco. Because in 2000, I think it was 2019, at 11:55 every night of the Fringe, Spencer Jones did what it says on the tin, 50-minute disco, where so there'd be some nights where it would just be him essentially DJing and doing some tunes. Other nights it would be essentially like a lineup, but the idea was that it was there at the end of every long Fringe day. You could go and it would be a mix of folks who'd wandered in off the street and comedians who had had a long day or just finished their shows, and basically everyone and anyone could get up and jam with him. So it was just the most wholesome, bright, lovely thing to have at the end of a Fringe day. So even though it was Spencer Jones facilitating, it opened up for everyone to come and do their own thing. So if I could have Spencer Jones's 50-minute disco, but I'd request maybe some Lucy Pearman, get some performance there from Lucy. I'd like Sakisa to do some burlesque. I would like go and chuck Tim doing a poem in there. Maybe Adam Flood doing a bit of DJing. Just get everyone and anyone who wanted to do something weird and wonderful to do 50 minutes within the 50-minute disco format. So that's my sort of loophole answer, is to get Spencer Jones's 50-minute disco and an array, a smorgasbord of beautiful people to do cool and weird and wonderful things.
What a lovely night that is.
Yeah.
Now, has there been an incident that you would love to replicate at this gig?
Oh, do you know what? I would really love. I went to see Anna Mann's Late Night Cheese and Sex Party years ago, and just I remember walking away from that being like, do you know what? Every gig should have cheese thrust out into the audience. So if there was a way that I could get someone to just throw Baby Bells about in the audience, who doesn't want a snack whilst they're watching something?
Marcus Brigstock did a whole show about this.
Great.
It was called Cheese and Wine.
Yeah.
And he would ask audience members what their wine was, complaint.
Yeah.
And then he would pair it up with a cheese and give the audience member that cheese.
Oh my gosh, he's the coolest man alive. God bless that man. He's so sweet.
Must have cost him a fortune.
Yeah. I mean, he was I'm not that worried about Marcus. I think he's all right. But yeah, I think that would be very cool. And do you know what? I'm glad you brought it because I was at altitude with him this year. It would be very cool as well to could we have this gig on the mountainside? There was
Sure.
something very magical about doing a gig on the side of a mountain. Like your commute to a gig being in a chairlift is always a very cool thing. So let's say we'll set it on a mountainside as well.
Has there been an incident that must not happen at this gig?
Um, so this is you must have had this before, but it's such a tricky thing when you've got somebody with a, let's put this diplomatically, with a distinctive laugh in a gig. You can't tell somebody not to, they're doing it right. They're doing it right. However, we've all done gigs
Can I just?
where
The reason why you've just made me a bit sad is that I'm aware that it's me, unfortunately.
no, not at all.
When
I
I
love your laugh.
when I'm on warm ups, I sometimes get told, but these are sound guys I've known for over 10 years, and so Pete from Sound, for example, a man I love dearly, will come over and go, Jim, mate.
I think you've got a lovely laugh, and it's a contagious laugh. I think when we struggle as performers to, it's such a delicate balance because there's a debate you have with yourself on stage whether you address it or not because everybody knows it's happening.
It's really difficult because also what you're doing is you're if you're not careful, you're telling the person off for doing the thing that we're all desperate for them to do.
Absolutely, but
It's
then
hard, isn't it?
also the delicate balance is when you address it and I mean, you bloody hope it happens again. You hope they laugh at something else. Then every time it happens, there's a renewed having to address it, but you can't. It's a really, really like
And,
it's a
and,
knife edge thing
and then also on the other side, if you do address it, the rest of the room can either go, that's a bit harsh, or they go, oh, thank God, I'm not the
yes,
only one. I was gonna murder that person. So
yes.
so
So I've had it go both ways.
so
Uh,
right, please talk us through. So what happened?
I had one show where again this person was laughing so generously and it was I didn't want to it got to the point where it was so distracting that they then became the only person laughing because I think everybody else was sort of looking at each other
Oh,
and
oh
so
God.
I did have to address it and then it did what it needed to do. It broke the tension and then
Yeah, yeah.
it was still happening about half an hour in and I have a vivid have a vivid memory of getting halfway through a bit that relied on momentum and hearing it and I stopped and I sat down and said I'm in hell.
Mate, I wasn't there, but I'm with you every step of the way here.
And
I
it was
really
this like
need
it
right
was
here.
just this like completely in like it came out of me like a burp. I was like it was all I could think to
Yeah,
say
that's
in
that's
the
a great thing. Is
moment
what a great line.
because I was like I'm in hell. Like it's just like I don't know where to go from here. But you know what? That person has been to other gigs since, and I know they've been to other gigs since because I've recognized the laugh. And they are welcome and they are valid and they are a beautiful audience member. And it's my job to work around those difficult things, not theirs. So
Well,
they're doing the right thing. They're turning up at a comedy gig and laughing, so they're doing it right.
you've just made Richard Gill's day. Rich, if you're listening, it's just a joke. We know it wasn't you. I know you've taken
Um,
that in the spirit it's intended.
that's very sweet.
Hang on, but there was another instance you were going to say of it going the other way.
Um, have them. I don't know if they. I mean, it will have gone both ways. The incident I can remember specifically is that one. I
Yeah,
mean,
of
it has
course.
also. I've had it before where I've had it before where I've addressed it and then not heard that laugh again. And like, there's the bit in the back of your head that's going, "Amy, you're a piece of shit." That's like you've just ruined someone's night. But then it's so hard. It's so hard. It's such a difficult. Um, it's so much harder to deal with that than if somebody is outright heckling you, because they are as we've said, they're doing it right. They're laughing at a comedy gig, but you need to address it, but also, maintain momentum or comfortability for the rest of the room. So
sure.
it's so hard. It's so difficult.
Now, final question: how do you unwind after a gig?
Oh, so do you know what? Genuinely, ASMR. I'm so glad
Yeah,
we've covered ASMR so
yeah.
thoroughly, because ASMR is a really, really good recalibrator, because it's a way of you to look at your phone without scrolling. But it's genuinely, funnily enough, there's an ASMR artist called Whispers Red,
She's
and
great. She's
she's
really good.
amazing. She's
Yep.
absolutely incredible, and she's written a really good book. And she did a call out for testimonials of how ASMR, what the role ASMR plays in people's lives, to demonstrate the breadth of how people engage with it. And one of the testimonials is from me. I said, one of the things that I do after a gig, there's lots of highs and lows, and adrenaline spikes in my line of work, and it's a way to recalibrate. It's a way to sort of come down after a gig. So ASMR is definitely one. There are few joys in this life like getting back to a nondescript hotel room and making yourself one of those little horrible little coffees with a Kenko instant coffee.
Tell you what, they
And
hit the
then
spot there, don't they?
they hit the spot, and also because there's no caffeine in them, you can have one before bed.
Is there not?
Well, there is, but there's not. Do you know what I mean? Like there is caffeine in them, but it's undetectable. Like it's so they're so weak and so like they're barely coffee.
Oh my
So
God, I must be. So I've been fooling myself. I'm like, whoa, Jesus Christ.
and also they come in portions for fairies. They're these tiny little sachets. So there's few joys like a little instant
Oh God,
Kenko
I'm living a
coffee
lie.
in a horrible cup in a hotel room, with the snooker on. That I genuinely think that I'd love my deathbed to look like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, just having done a nice gig with nice people, retreat it once the social battery starts to dwindle, taking myself off to a horrible hotel room with horrible instant coffee and watching the snooker. That's actually all I ever. Maybe I actually do comedy as an excuse to do that.
Imagine me and Tim at the funeral if they find your body with a Kenko and the crucibles on me. No, no,
Yeah,
no, it's what she wanted.
it's
No, no,
actually what
guys,
she wanted.
this is
Yeah,
happy. Be happy, everyone. Um,
genuinely.
do you not think with the ASMR thing, the thing that sends a cold chill down my spine is what a knife edge that industry is if you fall off the algorithm? There's
Yes.
someone who was, I probably won't say their name because but there's a quite a prominent ASMR person,
Yeah.
and they're legit. They're not one of these,
Yeah.
oh, I'm in a bikini. They went from getting millions of views per video, or certainly like late hundred
Mm.
thousands, and now they're through no fault of their own, low thousands. And
Victim
if
of the
that's your
algo.
livelihood, that's it, isn't it?
I know. Well, I tell you what, that kind of story shouldn't be as relatable to a comedian as it is nowadays. But it's crazy how much our genuinely our careers and audiences are at the behest of the whims of an algorithm. Isn't that bonkers? Isn't that mad?
I think it's crazy.
It's just it is, I mean, an overused phrase, but it's uncharted territory. Like we've never had to exist in a space like this before. So yeah, it's a weird and wonderful time to be in this line of work, isn't it?
I say this is a compliment, but you're not. You're lucky. As I say, you have so many strings to the boat. So it's not
Mm.
like you have all your chips on the algorithm because some comedians do, don't they? It's
Absolutely. And
all
but
algo.
also again, kind of what we sort of started this conversation with, you've got to you find your lane, find what your thing is.
Yeah.
And I know that I am not, and again, I think this has got like an oddly judgmental charge, and I don't mean it to this. I should say that very specifically. If you are like a clips comedian and that's your thing, incredible. That's not where my skill set is. That's just, and it's also not where I find satisfaction or joy or stimulation. And so I don't that I'm not putting time and energy and money into that specific thing. There may come a time where that is what I do, and that will be right for that time. But right now, it's just, I'm just, I think you've got to work out who you are, what your work is, where your audience is. I would genuinely rather play to a 60-seater of people that have found me and engage with my work importantly than, you know, a 300-seater of people who have found me in a, you know, in a space that it doesn't feel aligned with what I want to do. So yeah, I would, I'm lucky at the moment where I'm sort of able to exist in the social space in the way that I do. But do you know what? On that, really quickly, I was speaking to Pierre Novelli about this in a green room, because obviously we no longer have the choice. We have to be online, right? You can't, you have to, yeah, I have to have Instagram. I have to, you know, be online. And I said, oh, you know, I'm not a clips comedian. I don't do stuff to camera. I don't do crowd work clips. And he said, then use social media in a way that is aligned with what you are and who you are. He said, just share a bit of your life. Someone will be interested. And if they're interested in your life, the chances are they'll like your work. And that really stuck with me. I was like, oh yeah, I'll just use it in the way that feels representative of me. Because then the people I'm not selling anybody a version that isn't what I'm doing. Do you know? Does that make sense?
So wise, isn't he?
He's so, yeah, irritatingly so. Yeah.
Do you feel we've had a few comedians recently where, let's say, there's a tour or something similar looming, and they have been honest and admitted there's been a pressure,
Yeah.
to be, Tim and I call it clippy McGlippy, right?
Yeah.
Are you feeling a similar sort of thing?
There's a pressure there, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, the pressure's there. I go in waves with it. Sometimes I think we're beyond trying to resist it. That you can't. I think willing something to go away will not make it so. It, you know, just it's like, yeah, we have to. There's no point trying to hold the tide back with your hands, right? It's not gonna work.
Yeah.
But I just think you have to make it work for you. And so my way of making that work for me is that if someone's clipped something up, if a tour manager's done that and they want to collaborate with it, I'll share it, all of that business. I am not taking hours and hours out of my week, because it is now, it is a whole person's job.
Yeah.
It is a whole person's job. And I'm one person already doing the job of about 9 people.
Sure.
I can't currently make that 10th job work. There may be a time where I'm doing less of another 2 jobs and I do have time to do that, fine. But I just can't.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to stress myself out like by not doing it, or berating myself for not doing it. So yeah, I think I'm just having to lean in where I can, and make it work in a way that feels aligned with the kind of thing and space that I want to exist in, I think.
Beautifully put. Mate, thank you so much. That was really terrific, really great.
It's a joy. It's so nice
Thanks
to
for
speak
putting
to
so much
you.
work into it as well.
My pleasure.
It wasn't lost on us, so thank you.
That's so nice, so fun. Thank you so much. What a lovely chat.
Huge and heartfelt thanks to the wonderful, the multi-talented Amy Matthews. Tim, my favourite memory is I love this idea of original thought, and when I read all about and then also listened to Amy describe this new vinyl, it's really hit me for 6 and has really stayed with me. Tim, the closest we've got, I suppose, but again, Stuart Bennett, to make man from Leeds. Scott Bennett was really the first person that I knew of who was doing it. The online shows was probably the closest we got. Maybe it was us using the Audible front row. But I mean, again, that's derivative of, say, Scott, because he was already doing the online shows. But for Amy to come up with this concept with the vinyl, I think it's really fantastic, and has really, as I say, I've also done the Rick Rubin book, The Creative Act. If you're into that sort of thing, I strongly recommend it, and it really dovetails nicely with that. So Amy, I just think what you've done there is fantastic, and we cannot. Well, actually, I was going to say we can't wait to see what's next. We know that there's the ASMR project looming. Timo, your favourite Amy Matthews memory?
I'm going to sort of join you on that because I used to be a gigantic record collector. I've sort of weaned off it because it almost got to a problem at one stage. So I'm going to say the fact that she's putting out comedy records, that's my favourite memory. I absolutely adore that.
Tim, it's like Amy has set us homework for original thought.
Yeah, yeah, okay. She's given us a lot to think about. I think.
Tim, am I being? Hang on. Is there something? Have you come up with original thought? And I'm not giving you credit here.
I don't think so. If I'm honest, that's very good of you. But I'll have a think. But I bet there isn't anything. The
stuff you've done with the double cameras and when we've done the live streams and things like that, I've got to give all I've got all the credit in the world for that stuff.
I think we are ambitious. I think we're definitely ambitious, and yes. Let's say yes.
And also, Tim, it takes us nicely. You've been doing great work with the YouTube channel.
Oh, that's very kind. That's very kind. Yes, this episode is on YouTube. This episode, you can watch a video on Spotify, and I'm delighted with how they're coming out at the moment. It's lovely to see.
Tim is at the vanguard of that. Right, I'm on my way to a netball tournament now.
Brilliant.
I'll see you later, buddy. Thank you very much, as always. Thanks for all the shares. Oh my gosh, it makes so much difference. We're very grateful. Thanks to Time Out, did a lovely piece on the new Chelsea venue. So thank you, Time Out.
Oh yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah, Chelsea, it is looming. We're now in the month of the Chelsea launch.
Good Lord, we are as well. We will see you at Chelsea as well as the Tommy Field. Please do say hello. Huge and heartfelt thanks as always. Bye.